Force India launched their car for the new Formula 1 season this morning, live on Sky Sports News HD. Let's go live to Silverstone and Craig Slater. And something to look forward to there, Craig.
That's right, yes, a very warm welcome to a very cold Silverstone. And what is a big day for Sahara Force India. They'll become the third Formula 1 team this season after Caterham and McLaren to launch their new car for 2012. We can see the lorry that delivered the car at 6 o'clock this morning. That's going to be sticking around because as soon as we've had this launch today, it's going to be taking the car off to Jerez in southern Spain, where testing proper begins on Tuesday of next week. But let's take a look at the garage area here at Silverstone, which, as you can see, is a hive of activity with all the Force India staff preparing for this launch. And they are going to take the car out on the track today, so they have to do a proper setup. Over there in the corner, there you can see that the race tires they're going to be using there being pressurized and heated up. Formula 1 tyres, dry tyres, run at an optimum temperature of 100 degrees centigrade. You can see all the telemetry equipment set up here. They monitor braking pressure, tyre performance, engine performance, and sector times around the track. They want to get the most out of the laps they do today. All of these guys very much at the top of their profession, very much experts in their field, but fortunately we have our own Formula 1 expert to look ahead to this launch today. It's Tony Jardine, former manager at McLaren and Lotus, and also on the board here at Silverstone for 3 years, Tony. But Force India's day today, 6th they finished last season in the Constructors' Championship. They want 5th, but there's some big teams up there. How big a step would that be?
Well, it would be a big step. Getting 6th in the World Championship in the Constructors was a fantastic achievement anyway. They've got to strive for something better, of course they have. And they were nearly there in 2011. They were only 4 points off Renault, and it was a great battle for their 6th place. So they've got to aim for 5th or higher. But it depends what they're going to do. Are we going to see an innovative car with lots of different tricks on it, or are they going to be a bit more conservative and a bit more evolutionary? I think it's going to be evolutionary, but still they've done a fantastic job. You know, they've come from 10th, 9th, 7th, 6th in the World Championship for Constructors. So we expect to see a car that complies with the regulations. It might have that funny new nose on it that looks a bit like a platypus duck.
Boxer's nose, they're calling it as well. Yeah.
The boxer's nose. That's for safety reasons. They've probably got to comply to that. But certainly, as Silverstone's local team, just here on the doorstep, everyone here wants them to do well. And De Rest has done brilliantly, and in comes Hulkenberg.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking about them being a middle-of-the-road kind of team, maybe an Aston Villa or an Everton if we were to put it in Premier League parlance. But there is growing interest in the sport in India. 10 Indian television networks taking this launch today, incidentally. They have had fresh investment. Vijay Mallya has had fresh investment in the team. But is it still possible for a smaller team to come up with a big idea the way that teams used to in the 70s and 80s and turn over the big boys, as it were?
It's more difficult for them now, because in the era when I was working in design offices at Brabham and so on, or Lotus, they came up with the wing concept in the late 70s, which really overturned everybody. And it is still possible. In the past, we've had Braun in 2009 with their double diffuser, and we've also had the blown diffuser, which everybody was then forced to copy last year. But the regulations stayed the same for the last 4 years, which means the window gets smaller and smaller for a designer to really strut his stuff. And you find people like Adrian Newey, when the regulations stay the same, he tends to get a little bit stale. He likes it when there's a challenge, you know, and he's got a design from a clean sheet of paper.
We heard a lovely little burst there of the Mercedes V8 engine. Let's talk about the drivers here now. This is a fascinating duel, potentially. They are teammates, but the first priority for any teammate is to try and finish ahead of your opposite number, as it were. Nico Hulkenberg and Paul De Rest. Two young guys, ambitious guys. I mean, how do you see that internal battle shaping up?
I think it's going to be one of the big subplots of the Formula 1 season. There's going to be a battle royal, as I see it, because they're both very competitive, but they're both very talented. They were both European Formula 3 champions. They've gone off their different ways. One won the A1 GP, Hulkenberg, and we watched him live on Sky over many years, but he had a fantastic victory in Malaysia in the wet. And then De Rest went off to Germany with the blessing of Mercedes. He won the DTM championship, and he's very much one of their favoured sons, really, of Mercedes. But at the same time, they're both going into the second season because Hülkenberg had that amazing pole position in his last race in Brazil, which was absolutely fantastic. But he had to sit it out last year, you know, as the third driver at Force India. But Force India is one of the only teams that really lets their third drivers get some testing in on the Friday of the Grand Prix on the free practice session. And that's why Hülkenberg's done very well there and managed to get a Grand Prix seat back in for his second year.
Yeah. 6th place in qualifying for Paul di Resta. He's the third British man, if you like, I suppose. A big hope for the future. Did you see flashes of the kind of quality that makes you think he can be a major contender with a bigger team perhaps in years to come?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly that 6th place, and then his 6th place in Singapore was good. His first 2 Grand Prix, he scored points in his finish. He's got Rookie of the Year. Mercedes have been grooming him. And I really think that when Schumacher finishes at the Works team, the Mercedes team, which is close to here in Brackley, I think di Resta could fill that slot. But there's also talk that Martin Whitmarsh at McLaren very much likes Paul di Resta and his performance, watched him closely last year, and is also perhaps lining him up.
Okay, thank you very much for the moment, Tony. Fascinating thoughts from Tony Jardine. But lots more to come here from Silverstone, because in an hour or so's time we will be taking the wraps off the new Force India car, and it will be the first of the new cars for this season to take to a circuit. We will see it going through its paces here at Silverstone.
Yes, exciting times, isn't it, Craig? Thank you very much. Great to hear those cars as well.
Now, Force India are launching their car for the new Formula 1 season. Let's go live to Silverstone now, and let's join Craig Slater. Craig, over to you.
Thank you very much, and welcome to a perishing pit lane here at Silverstone, where in just a few moments' time, live on Sky Sports News, we will be revealing the car which will carry Sahara Force India's hopes in the 2012 Formula 1 Championship season. Force India, the only team on the grid that actually have a country's name in their title, and as such they represent 1.2 billion people, so no pressure then, no guys, but they haven't been feeling the pressure. Instead they've been exerting the pressure on their rivals, because year on year they have had a higher finish in the Constructors' Championship. The question is, can they go one step further this season and break into that elite top 5 group of teams? Well, let's meet the men that are going to be doing the unveiling. They are also going to be doing the driving this season. It's Nico Hülkenberg here, Jules Bianchi, who's the reserve driver, and of course Paul di Resta, Scotland's own Paul di Resta. It's an exciting day for all 3 of you. Come to you first of all, Paul. I mean, how much of a part have you played in the design of this car?
I think every individual in this team's put a lot of effort into this car. The momentum we had at the end of last year, hopefully we've managed to carry that over, but I must say it's a fine piece of art, and hopefully when it gets to track it'll show what it's capable of.
Well, Jules, you've come in from Ferrari, so you've brought all your secrets in, I guess. Of course you haven't, but I mean, is this a good team to be joining? It's a young team and a team that seems to give people chances.
Yeah, of course, it's a really good team to be. We have seen in the past that they give chances to young drivers, so it's going to be a really important season for me. I will learn a lot, and I will try to do my best with the team to help them as more as I can.
And Nico, it's like Paul, it's your second season in Formula 1, but you've had to wait a year. You know, you were the reserve driver here last season, so are you really itching to get back in a cockpit in earnest?
Very much, yeah. I'm very hungry. Very much looking forward to look what's underneath here, and then, you know, get out there and do some racing again. Okay, fair enough. So let's not keep either the 3 of you or all the viewers around the world who are tuning into this launch waiting for much longer. And just to update you on that, 20 European countries taking these pictures and 10 different networks in India carrying this launch event live. So, gentlemen, let's take it away and reveal your new office for 2012. Yep, an exciting moment for these 3 guys. Let's see if this car is different to the McLaren or the Caterham that we've seen. The cover's coming off now. Nico and Paul, very talented young drivers. It's going to be a fascinating battle to see who finishes on top between these 2 in the new season. And there we see it. Yeah, we can now say Namaste, which is hello in India, to the VJ Malia 5
Force India's new car for the season. Let's give it a big hand, guys. So, just as the photographers take a few pictures of the drivers with the car, let's have a word with Andrew Green, who's the technical director here at Force India. And Andrew, just talk us through the architecture of the car, if you like. Let's talk noses, first of all, because that's been the big change, I suppose, visually anyway, for this season.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hot topic this year. A lot of people paying a lot of attention to noses. Yeah, there's a bit of a regulation change on the nose height. With our philosophy, we've gone for with the drop nose. Obviously, a lot of people commenting on the McLaren a couple of days ago. They run a different aero philosophy at the front, so they've managed to drop their nose down. For us, it's not a big deal. It's purely aesthetics.
I mean, what was it? A surprise McLaren came out with what we thought would be an untypical type of design for this season. We thought a lot of the cars would have these step noses.
Yeah, I think it's just an aero philosophy that McLaren applied to the front of their car. I think last year they were the only team to apply that philosophy. We'll see if anyone else follows their suit. We think most people are going to go our route, so we'll wait and see.
Yeah, and at the back we see the exhaust coming out in that more elevated position. I guess that's the big issue from a technical point of view all the teams are wrestling with in this season. Do you think some are better placed than others in terms of finding a solution to that downforce need?
I think everyone's going to start showing their cards in winter testing. I think there's quite a few teams just launched with a basic specification, just holding their cards close to their chests. We're going to be looking at some different solutions over the winter, and also keeping an eye on what everyone else does in that area. It was a big change from last year. There was quite a lot of downforce produced from the exhaust and blown diffusers, as it's been widely documented. But we're confident we can claw most of it back.
Yeah. I mean, I've been talking about you targeting 5th position in the constructors this season, which is what the boss has asked for, Dr. Vijay Mallya. That's what he wants. But that's a big step. I mean, it's a step into the elite group, basically, isn't it?
It is, and for a small team like ourselves, it's a big ask. But I've got a lot of confidence in the people around me. We've got a lot of clever guys who work very hard. I think we learnt a lot last year. We made some big strides last year in our understanding of car performance, aerodynamics, and we're taking that another step this year. And you can see some of that. Some of the detail on the car. You can start to see some of the new aero philosophies coming through on it. So we're taking a bit of a step from last year. We did a lot of learning last year, but this is a new chapter in Force India. Okay, well, let's go and have another quick word. Thank you very much for the moment, Andrew. With the two principal drivers, I mean, here's your new office for the new season. I mean, first impressions, Paul. Talk us through the chief differences, perhaps superficially anyway, from last season.
Well, I think Andrew's said it all. Obviously, the rules distinguish where it's going to be. Obviously the front nose is a bit different.
Yeah, let's come around there, just have a little look at that. I mean, you saw the McLaren car, I guess, maybe images of that on TV. Now, they haven't gone with the boxer's nose, as I suppose people are calling it. Is that just your wind tunnel coming out with different results from theirs?
I think everybody's got their strong beliefs. We have a good technical working amount of people in the factory that they've come up with this design, and that's the best way for us to generate downforce. So that's what influences the whole car, and you've just got to hope that their decision, that's the right way forward for us. Yeah.
And Nico, you've been with the team, as I say, for a season now. Do you sense you're better placed at this stage this year than you were last, and you will take a full part in testing, and the car is ready that bit earlier, and how much of an advantage might that be?
Well, obviously it's a totally different situation for me to last year. Now I'm a race driver, so obviously I'll be in every test, preparing myself to go racing again. That's natural, and obviously quite excited to drive the baby the first time out of the garage in Jerez, and very exciting times for us.
I mean, you collaborate well, the two of you. I know you get on well as well, but as in with every team in Formula 1, I guess the first guy you've got to beat or try and beat, is your teammates. We've been told you'll have equal equipment. What's that battle going to be like from your perspective, Nico?
It's going to be tough. I mean, if you look at Paul's career records, it's pretty good, pretty strong. Formula 3, DTM, he's achieved a lot. He had a very strong season last year in his rookie season. He's going to be even stronger this year, so it's going to be very competitive. But obviously I'm trying to make his life as difficult as I can.
Yeah, and from your for your part, Paul? I mean, it's great that this team have backed two young drivers, you know, with the background and CVs that you have, and it will be a good battle, won't it?
It is a young driver lineup throughout, but I think that's very good. They're a young team to Formula 1 Force India, but there needs to be competitive nature in this team, and I believe that's what we've got. But me and Nico are good friends. I'm sure we'll work together over the year, developing the team, pushing the team forward, and you know, these next 6 weeks before we go to Melbourne are crucial, and we'll extract the most we can, be very open with our conversations as we will be throughout the year, and really knuckle down and do our best for Sahara Force India.
Yeah. I mean, you're two young guys living the dream, and you sometimes forget to think that you know, there are only 24 of you in the world as Formula 1 drivers, you know, and it's not easy getting a seat either. And when you saw, you know, the two Toro Rosso drivers last season losing theirs, you know, it's a cutthroat business, this. But tell me, in the off-season, what have you been getting up to? Has it been living the high life, or has it been a time of hard physical preparation?
I would say hard physical preparation. You know, you really need to put the effort in the winter and push yourself to new boundaries and get some needed rest after a long season. You know, we were racing up until the first week in December last year, so you know, now it all starts. Next week we get to track. This is when all the work's been done. You know, all the long hours have been put in the drawing office and in the wind tunnel and stuff, and you really need to make the effort and try our best to be as best prepared going to Melbourne as possible.
Because you're both tall guys, you know, you're well above average for Formula 1 drivers, so you had to watch what you ate over Christmas and all that kind of thing?
No, I think Christmas, you know, is a special day. You can eat a bit more than usually, but, you know, like Paul, I mean, there was a little break after Brazil, but then straight back into preparations for this year, hard physical preparations, training, coming over to UK, watch your team over the shoulder, see what they're doing, and yeah.
Okay. So in a word, you're going to take down Lotus, Kimi Räikkönen and all, you're going to finish ahead of them?
Well, that's the big aim this year, you know, to become fifth as a constructor. But to achieve that, you're going to be overtaking a car manufacturer, which is a big thing in Formula 1 and a World Championship team at that. But, you know, to maintain sixth, that would be definitely something we would like to achieve out the box. And then, you know, we need to make that next step, and the dedication of everybody around here. As I said, the buzz is still around, and I'm sure we're ready to make that step should our machine give us the competitiveness we need.
Okay, well, thank you very much for having us today. Wish you all the very best this season to both you, Paul, and Nico as well. It's going to be a great to see you battling with the other teams and between yourselves, as then it should be one of the highlights of this Formula 1 season. Well, yeah, we have had a great time here and been warmly welcomed by Sahara Force India. We've heard from Paul, we've heard from Nico. I suppose the only person or thing we have yet to hear from is the car itself, but don't worry, we'll rectify that in the next hour, because we'll be firing up the engine and Paul will be taking around the circuit.
Craig, look forward to that. It looks absolutely magnificent. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, that looks awesome, doesn't it?
You are a petrol head, so you like that, don't you?
Totally. I'm not sure they'll be able to keep the tyres warm enough there by the time they get out onto the track.
After you.
OK, we'll have the latest.
Our F1 team were at Silverstone earlier as Force India also displayed their 2012 car to the media. The Mercedes-powered VJ M05 is the latest incarnation, and the car the team hope to progress from their 6th place finish in the Constructors' Championship. It'll get its first real run out when testing in Jerez on Tuesday. Britain's Paul di Resta named Rookie of the Year after coming 13th in the Drivers' Championship. For the new season, the Scot will be joined by Nico Hülkenberg, and both drivers insist despite working together, they will be racing each other too.
It's going to be tough. I mean, if you look at Paul's career records, it's pretty good, pretty strong. Formula 3, DTM, you know, he's achieved a lot. He had a very strong season last year in his rookie season. He's going to be even stronger this year, so it's going to be very competitive, but obviously I'm trying to make his life as difficult as I can.
And it will be a good battle, won't it?
It is a young driver lineup throughout, but I think that's very good. They're a young team to Formula 1 Force India, but there needs to be competitive nature in this team, and I believe that's what we've got. But me and Nico are good friends. I'm sure we'll work together over the year, developing the team, pushing the team forward, and you know, these next 6 weeks before we go to Melbourne are crucial, and we'll extract the most we can, be very open with our conversations as we will be throughout the year, and really knuckle down and do our best for Sahara Force India.
Well, Sky Sports Formula 1 HD pundit Martin Brundle expects di Resta to improve on his rookie season and is predicting a successful year.
This team will obviously think that they can do the job for him, and they're saying today we anticipate being 5th in the World Championship. That's our target for next year. Paul di Resta, I think, is going to be on the scene a long time. He's a quality act, as we saw through his rookie year last year. And he's got Nico Hülkenberg as his teammate, and he'll keep him more than honest, I can assure you. But yeah, 2 for Paul, and he's already looking more confident, saying, yeah, I've got a lot of things in the car I'm happy with. Now I've learned so much last year. And you sense he's growing into the role of full-time Formula 1 driver, and he really has got some speed.
And a reminder, you can see live coverage of every race this year on Sky Sports F1 HD, starting with the Australian Grand Prix on March the 18th. We'll also bring you live coverage from practice sessions and qualifying, while our team will be bringing you exclusive content and interviews throughout the season. It's all on Sky Sports H1.
H1FD?
H1FD, it's the new channel launching very soon.
Let's call it F1 HD.
Oh, right,
From now on, I think it works better. Yeah.
That'll do.
Right, we'll be going live to Southwark Crown Court shortly for the latest